Sitaram, Assalamu Alaikum, Sai Ram, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Untold Truth. Also, I'm Master Eric, along with Parasram Maharaj, Pundit, high respected Pundit in Trinidad. Welcome, Pundit.
Thank you.
And tonight we're going to talk about an interesting topic: negative energies, demons, and possessions. So, Pundit, again, thank you for coming tonight.
Welcome.
So, Pundit, we've talked about this before. Also, with the camera people here, everybody that knows us, they see every day how much negativity has risen
Yeah.
in the world, all over. And especially when it comes to children, child possessions. Just with us dealing with possessions worldwide, we're talking of a spike of 400% in the last 2 years in young children being possessed. But then a lot of people, they'll ask, why would they possess a child? A child is innocent.
Yeah.
Well, right there, Pundit, there's your answer. Innocence. Purity. Now, don't you know from how you were taught and all these years reading scriptures that the more pure somebody is when it comes to prayers or puja or whatever,
Yeah.
the more power, correct?
Yes.
And when we talk about power, it's not to the size of a person. It's the purity of the person,
Yeah.
which allows them to have more power. So if a demon or a soul or whoever enters into a child's body, that would give them a lot of power, correct?
Yes.
And that's why we did a case not long ago. And the person I took with my team to help me, the child was 6 years old. No, 8, sorry. 8 years old. And he only stood not even about 4 foot. And this guy I took stood 6'5", 280 pounds, lifts weights, so he's buffed, right?
Yeah.
And when we went out there, I was doing the spiritual work on the other side, why they were keeping this person in its place, possessed.
Okay.
Do you know within 2 minutes, that little 8-year-old boy brought him down on his knees. And he was sweating, full sweat, clothes full sweating. And he's saying there, and when I came in the room, he said, "Master, help," right? I said, "What are you doing? Don't hold him." See, one thing people don't understand, when somebody's possessed, you do not tie them down. And number 2, you do not restrain them or hold them, right? Why do you think that is? If they have the negative inside of them, you know that negative people have, that's possessed, they have a lot of strength,
Yeah.
more than a human, right? But why do you think you don't hold them down? Just as a, what do you think?
Because you don't give them the freedom to do whatever they have to do.
That's one.
And next thing is they could overcome you. They could come into you too, as an individual who's trying to.
If they're tied down?
Yeah. Because they try to try everything to escape.
Well, true. The main reason, and this is why a lot of priests in the world has been killed during an exorcism, is because when you tie them down, what does that show to the possession?
You're a weakness.
No, you're scared.
Well, it's a weakness.
Yeah. You're scared. You got fear.
Yes.
So now you are giving it more power because it's going to play on that fear,
Yes.
right? Now, when you do not tie them down, and we'll get into that in a little while, but I want people to understand this has become almost like an epidemic when it comes to people around the world. Now, I'm not just talking, a lot of people will say, Pundit, I pray. I pray every day. I do my devotion. And I said, do you think the demonic force cares about your prayer? They don't care. They're not concerned about religion either. All they're concerned is to do what they can do without interference from the Almighty God. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want it like a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
They want to come around. Number two, when they start getting into position, they just don't look for weak people. They do look for a person, one, that is down. They're not spiritually strong.
Sure.
They might have like a gambling problem, drinking problem, other situations. Mm-hmm. So they will select those people. Also, Pundit, I have done pundits, priest. I have done swamis that was 100% possessed. So a lot of people will say, but how would you do a swami? Because aren't they supposed to not eat meat, not cuss, not have, a female?
Yeah.
They give their life to God. They do their prayers all day. Mm-hmm. And I just look at them and I said, to some demonic beings, that is like a trophy. If they can overtake a spiritual leader or anyone of that caliber, that is a trophy. Now they've done something big. Okay? Because the Swami I was doing, when they called me, a pundit called me, and I went to see. He was doing his devotion every day, and did everything pretty much the right way, right? That he knew, right? But overnight, Pundit, he started drinking a full, large bottle of puncheon.
Okay.
One night. He was getting hookers. He was gambling and started beating the family and taking over the family overnight. So when we went in there, he got so violent, Pundit, they had him padlocked inside the room. He couldn't come out because he tried pulling knives, trying to stab the family, everything else. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying, I've seen for a fact that, and this was a pretty much heavy, what you call a heavy possession. That's one case. There's been other cases where the possession put the priest in ICU, in the hospital. The pundit, and nothing against the pundit, but the pundit was smart. When the pundit went to check before we even went, right?
Yeah.
When he saw that, heard it, and saw the strength, he said, nah, this is out of his field. So he called me, but before I went, a priest went to do an exorcism, and it almost killed him, Pundit. He was in the hospital for 4 weeks. So, and then when I went again to do the check on the outside of the property, one, you never pull into the property. You park outside of the property. Number two, I felt what was in there. So when another priest pulled up, I said, hello, Father, how you doing? And he introduced. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm here to take this out. I said, are you sure you know what you're dealing with? He says, I'm still going to do it. And he hasn't even seen the possession yet. So when we walked in, he was prepping himself. So he got the Bible. He's got the crucifix. And he has to purify the crucifix. And he blessed it, put on his cloth and the holy water. When he walked in the room, Pundit, they unpadlocked the lock. I stood in the doorway. When he walked in, he started, it growled. Now, Pundit, when they growled, have you ever been to a zoo?
Yeah.
And have you heard a deep lion growl?
Yes.
Real loud? That's what it was. It wasn't like a human trying to make the noise of a lion.
Okay.
And it kind of shook, vibrated the room. Well, he got a little off his feet. You know, he's never witnessed anything like that. But when he started, and he got to the point where I'm going to cast you out with the blood of Jesus Christ, I will send you to hell for eternity. And he was saying it in Latin. I'm saying it in English, right? And when he said, I will cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ, and he threw the holy water. All that holy water did was get it angry. That was it. It didn't hurt the person or the demon inside of it. It got so angry, it went up, snatched the bottle out of the priest's hand, drank it, and spit it back in his face. So what I'm trying to say, so he comes stumbling out, and I said, he goes, what are you going to do? I said, one, I'm not going to break the rules. You broke the rules. You have to give it 10 days to leave that body on its own before you even do the exorcism. So you have to warn it. Then you are allowed to kill it if it does not leave in 10 days. Otherwise, did you know that when you do an exorcism or you kill the demon, it's a sin if you don't go by the rules? You have to give it, because haven't you read that a soul, even if it's positive or negative,
Yeah.
it's a soul.
Yeah.
So there are rules of dismissing, which I don't do, okay, most people do, or you kill it. So when we warned it, then we went back 10 days later to take it out. But that one was so bad, Pundit, that the priest and the Pundit eventually ran out of the house during the exorcism and looked through the kitchen window. I don't want to elaborate on that, but we took care of that problem later too, because I asked them, where was their faith in God? You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you really believe in God, or are you just saying it, right? Because when you do this, Pundit, you cannot be afraid. You cannot show fear. But do you have any questions so far?
I have read in Garg Puran that these persons who are affected by unrested souls are those persons who does not have any faith and sanctity in the books of the scriptures. They do not believe in it, and they do not honor God in any way. That is in the second volume of Garg Puran. I've seen that. Then it is said that those who are faith-forward in their life, who keep to the truth all the time and keep truth within themselves and keep speaking the truth all the time, they are never affected by unrested souls. So when these are the situations that a person is affected by unrested souls, it means somewhere along the line they are not following these things.
Or they had a foot off the path.
Yes.
So that gave him a weakness, correct?
Yes. It means that there's a flaw somewhere for that to happen. Because it says those who work with the sanctity of the books of the scriptures, those who honor the deities, speak nice words to everyone, who are welcoming to all the guests, and who honor the deities in the different elements, they are never affected by unrested souls.
So I hear it. I've seen it. So why would spiritual leaders be possessed? Even to make it more...
That I can't say.
Okay, hold on. Let's say they had a foot off the path.
Yes.
But what about a 6-year-old child? See, this is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
The negative, the demonic beings have no boundaries.
Yes.
Now, when you start dealing with these things, and I've done it for over 30 years now, And I've got over 15,000 exorcisms that I've done. Pundit, sometimes what we read doesn't coincide
Yeah.
with what is happening.
Yeah, because why I said that too, when I was small, about 12 years old, I remember my great-grandmother. She said something to my grandmother. She told her at that time, and my grandmother witnessed this actually. So she was sewing clothes for my great-grandfather, who was also a Pundit. And it was late night, because usually when they go to do Bhagavad and so on, they will stay at the place where the Bhagavad is being done, because it's 3 times a day. Then they have to bathe and do the morning prayers, and then they will read. So he was staying out. So his only children were home, and my nanny was there. That is my mother's mother. It was about the middle of the night, and a female voice came saying, "Maharajan, I want some water to drink, please." But she said it in Hindi. And she said, "At this hour, who are you?" And then she saw a tall figure in front of her. And she started to chant the Hanuman Chalisa. She said, and that disappeared like nothing. So I know from what I read there and how this is, I could equate the two to be parallel together. When we examine what is happening, and when you say a 6 or 8-year-old child,
Correct.
I'm wondering if it is karmas of the past that has come with this child, or if it is something that took effect because of the parents.
Well, see, this is what we have to look into, and this is where part 2 comes in.
Okay.
Now, in another show, not to keep people going, but I want to get to certain specifics,
Yeah.
right? But I'm glad you brought that up, because then we've had hundreds, Pundit, hundreds of women being raped at night, right? And every night, no matter what they did, smoking out, doing, you know how tradition, we have things that you do. It doesn't phase these things. And I want you to also understand, with everybody watching, just with what I know, out of 30 years, over 30 years, and 15,000 of them, that's not counting demons I pulled out. This is possessions, right? There are over 200 different types. Okay? So you know how you'll have an army.
Yeah.
And you'll have the little foot soldier.
Yeah.
Then you'll have a guy that'll ride in a vehicle or a horse or whatever.
The captain.
Right, captain, keep going up. This is how the demonic ranges also.
Okay.
And each one has more strength.
Yes.
Okay? Only in a blue moon, you're going to get, out of the 200, the worst one.
Okay.
Now, when you do, imagine, now my team could show, I think they've told you before anyhow, but we will be going into the place, and I'll be guided by the deities, and the deities will tell me they cannot come in, my team. Okay. They cannot go in. Then when I go in, they see me. Everybody's looking through the windows. They're seeing me be lifted up 3-4 foot off the ground and thrown 15 feet. That's when you go in to test the demon, not to take him out yet.
Okay.
So you're allowing your body to be thrown, right? Now, when you do take one of them out, it's a fight. It's a big fight. Some don't give up much fight, but these are big fights. You see the scar here going under my chin. Gashes. I've got gas scars along my body. This is done from demons they could not see, but they see me go in the air and they see the blood coming out of my chin and my sides. So they can go from the parallel realm of the spiritual and come into the physical. So I want people to understand that also. Now, the cases with women. If there's women, I know there's people watching right now that is probably going through this, right? They usually start before they rape you, Pundit. It comes in like a dream. The woman would have, or the man, would have a sexual dream.
Okay.
Okay? But the difference between that is, and everyone said, but the dream seems so real that when they woke up, they felt the sensation, but they didn't see nobody. You understand?
Yeah.
And then some of them said they would be pressed down to the bed and they cannot move. Your eyes can move, but they can't speak. That's when they start to take control over you. I had one case in Central to where it happened so often, she began to like it. And she kicked her husband out of the bedroom, made him stay in another bedroom because she ended up liking what the demon was doing. And it took quite a while talking to her, different sessions, to get her to say, okay, come and take it out. After we did, they never had no problem. They came back sleeping together, being together, and they salvaged. So the husband wasn't upset because I explained to him what was going on. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then we have, I want you to understand another thing. The respect for demons needs to be high when you deal with them. One, do you know a demon, a male demon? If a male demon is seducing the wife or the daughter or whoever, right? Do you know once he's marked that woman, he will not touch another woman? He's devoted. Once they mark that woman becomes like his possession, his wife.
Okay.
Okay? But a human man, he's married, but he's horning every Tom, Dick, and Harry out here. You understand? There's no morals. Demons do go by a code. So there's been where the daughter come to me, and at the time she was 21. But she said it's been happening for 13 years. Okay? When I went to check her home, when I walked around the home, you could feel and see 3 males of the demons in the house looking out the window. So I said, that's your room, correct? She said, yes. I said, but there's more than one. There's more than 2. Who lives in the house? So it was father, son, mother, daughter. I said, let me talk to your mother outside, please. Alone. Do you know the mother told me that it's been happening to her for that amount of time? I said, did you ever talk to your daughter? No. And the daughter didn't think she could talk to the mother about it. So look what they were doing in the house. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, the signs, everyone, that you look for when there's a demonic being or spirit inside the house. 1, if you wake up with blue, black marks on you, mainly with women, it's the leg area and the thigh area. And it'll look like a little blue, you know like what a hickey is? Mm-hmm. You know when people are making out and they're sucking the neck, they get a little hickey. It's like that, but it's on your legs. Some women get them this big, Pundit. Okay? And over time, the marks keep coming up closer to the private area. You might have some claw marks, light claw marks on their back. Okay? That's another symptom that you look for. Another one, the dreams that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, some people may have those, but not all the time. Okay. This is what we're looking at, a frequent dream that keeps replaying back. This is where we're looking at. Now, what if you see, okay, a woman or the man or children washing dishes in the house? They're alone in the kitchen, but they swear one of their family just walked by. But when they turn, there's nothing there. Now, that's what we labeled as a hybrid. Now, a hybrid spirit is different. A hybrid demon can actually take the physical form of a human or an animal. So let me give you an example. Not far from here, there was a family. They come to see me, and they're all sleeping in the same bed because of what's happening in the house.
Yeah.
Right? The woman walked out of the master bedroom, and this is before they all slept in the same bed. She sees her son come out of the bathroom where the shower was. He had a towel around him, but he's dripping wet. He walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator door, pulled out the carton of orange juice, and started drinking it out of the carton. But the mother started to boof him. Mm-hmm. You know better than to drink like that.
Yeah.
And hurry up and grab a towel, dry yourself off before you catch cold. Mm-hmm. She went in, she turned around, he's still in the kitchen, went into his bedroom, because each bedroom had their towels, but he's asleep in bed. And then the daughter would see the father would see the son, the mother would see the father, but they're not in the room. This demon was taking their form, trying to blend in within the family. So we had to go take them out. Now, when we did take them out, I do take, if people wants to do medical studies or scientific studies, and they want to go out with us, just call, and I can arrange them to go. I had a doctor and a psychiatrist go.
Okay.
And they wanted to see if what they see or what they experience, can they medically or scientifically explain it. But when they saw my hands in the air and I'm pulling them in, and they saw me go down sideways with my hands in the air, and I come back up and my shirt was ripped and blood was coming out of the side of me, they could not explain that. But we took it out. What I'm trying to say, if you don't know what you're doing, they could kill you. Okay? And you do get damaged when you go out and do these things. That's why you can't do it every day or every other day. But do you have any questions so far?
It put me to think and to wonder. I have heard people speak about things like that. Mm-hmm. And there was a case where one person came and was talking to me, but was feeling kind of embarrassed. So I put them to talk to my wife. They talked to her and tell her the situation, and she explained to me afterwards. So she prepared something and give it to her. And after that, well, it didn't come back again. Another case where it was an old lady came and explained. So I said, talk to this lady. So she talked to her. And it was the same kind of situation. But it put me to wonder, because I know if you close your door to certain things, it could reach far as the door and not enter. But once you open the door, you give it space to enter. So I was wondering how to equate the two together.
Well, first of all, a spirit has no boundaries.
Yeah, you
The,
said that
the only
before.
way
Yeah.
closing a door doesn't keep a spirit out.
No, I don't mean that door.
I
mean
know.
the door of your mind.
Correct.
Yes.
The only way they cannot come in you or in a physical environment is when you are properly sealed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Some pundits do tabishes, guards.
Okay.
Tabish,
Yeah, Tavij.
right? But if you don't give it right, they don't even work, pundit.
I know, because the thing is, and not only that, they charge a big set of money for it.
Right.
And
Now,
according to what it said, that there should not be a fees paid for it.
well, it depends what it's made out of.
Yes.
If
No,
it's made out of gold,
They're supposed to
which
bring-
is the most purest element on earth
Yeah,
to work with energy.
yeah,
So if you want the best,
yeah,
you'll get a gold one, right? And it's what you put inside of it.
yeah,
But what I'm trying to say is when the spiritual leader does make it
yeah,
and get it ready, I've asked hundreds of people when they come in, how did they give it to you? And they said, what do you mean? I said, how did they give it to you? Did you walk in and they say, here it is, put it on? You could wear it. And then they tell you where not to go with it and things like that. They said, yes. I said, it's not going to work. And I proved to Pundit, when you do a guard or a tabij,
yeah,
when you're done, there's certain prayers you say, you
Yeah.
go over the fire.
yeah.
Now you have to assign that tabij
To the said
in
person.
every direction on that person.
Yeah,
Then when you're done, you have to ignite that tabij in all directions around that person. And when you do, after you assign it, they put it on. Then when you ignite it, you'll see their bodies start to sway like this. What's that from? The energy of it,
yes.
right? And I said, if you get a tabij, and you put it on and you're not swaying, they didn't assign it, it's useless,
Yeah,
right? So the question is, why are the pundits, the priest, or whatever guard these people are making,
yeah,
why are they not assigning it to dispel the negative energy properly? This is where I wanted to have classes. But Pundit, you and a few other pundits are the only ones that has no ego. Their head isn't so big they can't come through the door like everybody else and come and learn. I'm not going to charge them. Learn. Help your devotees. You understand?
yeah,
But right now, they're coming to us for the guards. And then the same ones that won't come, they had me do the guards for them. But they won't do them for the people.
and they'll speak you at the back.
Right. And they speak ill of me behind my back. I could care less about that because God knows the truth. But what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
now let's go a little further. And you've learned a little bit while you've been around. If a person or family have a negative presence on the property, Do you or do you not do prayers or howling on that property?
No, because the negative is going to absorb the positive too.
Right. So the negative is the one that is benefiting from the offerings you are doing.
It will come just like the guy
Correct.
who went with the holy water, the priest who went with the holy water, and the negative force took away the holy water and drank it and spit it in his
Correct.
yeah.
So then my question is, why are religious leaders of all faiths going to the place where the negative presence is and doing prayers or Thanksgiving if they're Baptists? There's different rituals that they would do, right? Why are they going there and feeding the negative? It's not going to go away. You're making it more powerful. But these are the same people that don't want to come and get trained. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So isn't that against what a religious leader is supposed to do by making the people, not making, the people wanted it out, buying all the ingredients, all the articles for the puja. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything, knowing that that is not going to reach God. What it does do, God does see you offering it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the actual articles is not being absorbed by God.
Yeah, because I also read in Guru Quran that even the food that you go to offer, the negative forces, the unrested soul, take it away before it could even reach the individual.
Mm-hmm.
So when they are around, they actually take the offering before it reaches to the place of offering. And that is in the last chapter of volume 2 of the Guru Quran.
So then let's go a little further, right? Things not to do. When you start seeing, now every family, siblings, mother, father, brother, whatever, you have your little disagreements. But when you see arguments super increase within a family, that's one sign.
Yeah, the Guru Quran tells you that too.
Okay? The next sign, money. Money can't stay.
Yeah.
No matter what. So if you take over $100, all the people that come in and it's confirmed, we don't assume, Pundit. We will go check the house, confirm. And they'll say they don't even know where their money go. It's like they buy things, but they're still trying to conserve. But if they got $100, $150 goes out. They don't even know where the extra 100 went or 50 went to. So when you have negativity at home and it's confirmed, I advise everybody never take money home. Leave it in the bank and use your debit card. But once you have cash, it's gone. The next one, work is going to slow down tremendously. Why? They don't want you to prosper. They want to have you at a certain level to where you're in control. So let me give an example. This was a great case. It was one that excited. I was super excited to do it, right? This old man come and he said, "Master, can I ride with you? I'll show you where this place is." I said, "Sure." So we're going to check. On the way to that house, the headboards of the beds were slamming, all of them at the same time, against the wall before we got there. The roof, the tin roof, was jumping all over the house. The cupboard doors slamming, closing. The doors going into the room, slamming, closing. By the time we got there, it got so bad. The family, the wife and the kids were running out of the house. The neighbors all collected in the neighborhood to watch what was going on. When we pulled up, I told my wife and everybody, stay in the car. Don't even get out of the car. When I started walking inside, there's the husband. And I said, so what's going on? Can I check the house? He said, yes. Pundit, when I walk through, everything calm. I go all the way up into the attic. And do you know, I was face to face with 3 of the biggest ones you could go against. And I knew right there, 1, I'm outnumbered. 2, I'm going to have to bring who I have to bring to, so they don't start. The husband was standing right beside me. Now 1 was raising through heat. Right? I said, nah, let me take him down one time. So I took him down one time, brought him downstairs. He still had the spirit on him. And it started talking multiple languages at one time in front of all the neighbors there. And I told him to identify himself. Now there's that language you heard before we started the show.
Yeah.
Every demon, every angel, every deity knows that language, right? I started talking. It started to mock me. So I took him and slammed him on the ground, and I started to pin him to bring it out. And do you know, the husband came back to himself and said, do not remove it from me. I looked at him and said, are you crazy? No, it feeds me work. Enough to survive my family. Do you know he lost his wife, lost the kids, and that person is still living with those demons? So over getting work from a negative, he put that over his family. Plus, he was being influenced some by the demon. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll run into every scenario you could think of, right? But Pundit, the next program, we're going to get even deeper. And I'm going to start telling you what other leaders don't want you to know. Why? Because when you start knowing what I'm going to say the next program, your awareness is going to be higher. Pundit, the number one thing against negativity is your own awareness. Not spiritual awareness. Not trying to fight them without knowledge. Most people don't even know when there is a negative in their house. They just see all these signs.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
They don't. Now, some see shadows.
Okay.
And then there was some in the east to where they didn't come as a normal demon. They came as spiritual animals.
Okay.
Those are even more tricky to deal with. And then you have jinns, Muslim. It says in the Quran, the jinn is made from pure fire. So how do you do that? You can't cast it out. You got to put it where it came from, in fire. So then you have to open up gateways for this to actually take effect, to pin that demon in there until it gets dissolved in the fire. Then when you're done, I just did one 2 days ago, and the people said, how do we know they're gone? I said, of the evidence. I said, see the fire burning? Yeah. Do you smell anything? No, it's like a normal fire. I said, wait till it burns out. And you're going to smell dead flesh. It'll make you sick. And what you have to do before it starts to burn out, you have to take a camphor, put it in another fire, a deifier, burn it a little bit, give it to them. Because when that smell comes out, Pundit, it'll make you sick. They have to smell it. You can smell the burnt flesh. So that is the spiritual body of that demon that you just killed with the soul. Do you have anything that you want to ask or say so far?
Hey, it made me more curious to find out.
I'll tell you what, the next one, because we're always in touch,
Yes.
I'll have you go so you can actually witness the evidence when we put them in. Now, do you know who else also sees these things? Animals,
Yeah.
birds,
Yes.
dogs.
Because
The dogs will bark constantly.
even if somebody is going to die near the premises, near the place, they get a sign first and they start to cry. Some dogs start to cry.
Yeah.
And they make a noise.
Some of them, they just constantly bark all night and there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
But they're seeing the demons,
Yeah.
the negatives walking around. You know, I want people to understand that we're living in a parallel dimension.
Yeah.
So they are walking right along with us everywhere we go. Whether they bother you or not, that's a different story. But when we started investigating years ago about these things, then realm 3 came up. Realm 3 of the lower realm.
Mm-hmm.
That is the realm that they can be summoned from.
Okay.
So these people that are trying to do obia, and there summons a demon to do something against somebody. Go ahead.
What I think should be is that if we are told what are the signs to look for, although you pointed out a few, because there are some people who say other things. They say about dreams and they say about other things, and then there's constant bickering by all the members of
Correct.
the family. These are things that I read in the Guru Puran too, but I think it has to be brought out that people will understand this and to know that with these signs that are there, you should look out for negativity taking place in the family because of the presence of unrested soul.
Well, see, this is why I said I want to have a part 2. And I said I'm going to get deeper into the signs. Why? This is something we have 12 minutes left. It's something you don't want to rush, one.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're not saying everyone to be paranoid either. You don't be paranoid. You just look what is not, this is way beyond the norm
Yeah.
of the house or
Yeah.
the situation,
Yeah.
right? It got so bad, Pundit. I was training a high person in another faith. And he went to the house with me. And when we did, do you know he was one of the first that came, the person lived in the house, with video evidence?
Okay.
Video evidence. So he got to where he couldn't sleep in the bedroom. So he laid his mattress in the middle of the floor in the living room. And just the mattress. And he had CCTV cameras, right?
Yeah.
Pundit. When he showed me, I said, let's go. He's laying in bed asleep. You see his leg go up in the air like this. And then it threw him across the room. You couldn't see the entity because in regular CCTV, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the brute force
Okay.
of it lifting him. And he's laying down and thrown across the room. And it happened more than once. When he's typing on the computer, as he's typing a letter, all the letters would fall off the screen.
But it's nothing like his blood pressure was in a bad state too, right?
No,
Because,
this guy was actually feeling like he was going nuts.
You know, because a person with blood pressure, right, high blood pressure, they could be lying on the bed and all of a sudden they just fall off the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to get into a lot more specifics. But what I'm trying to do is not scare people. I'm trying to let them know The forces are out there. Whether they're going to bother you or not, don't know. But don't let your mind over race and overthink. But look at some of the things I said tonight. But Pundit, I'm telling you now, there's women watching this right now that has the blue-black marks, has been pinned to the bed. They just don't know who to go to. You understand?
Yes.
And
So
this
these are like the symptoms that to look out for.
the main one.
Yes.
When it comes to women.
Okay.
Men, I've seen to where they are less apt to go tell someone
Okay.
because they think it's not manly. A man thinks anything can be happening to him and you should enjoy it. But they are also being affected emotionally and psychologically by what's being done.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But do you have anything more to add?
No, it's just
Or
like,
what you've heard or anything like this?
well,
I know you've sent me some people
yes.
and I've done them.
There much more there that has been told, but everything you don't remember all these at the same time. But we have to look out for these symptoms that are there in the family, where there is constant bickering, where
Way more than normal.
yeah, and when the income is rising, the expenditure is rising at a gravity, when there are difficulties, when people don't conceive, these are all the type of, and when the person is angry with his own child and they cannot see eye to eye together, these are some of the things that we have to look out for, because this is what is constantly happening, and people are questioning what to do, why to do, why this is happening, and what are the steps that we should take in order to get our family back together.
Now, you just brought up a good thing about not being able to conceive. And they're medically checked. Everything is normal.
Yeah.
Also, stillborn babies.
Yes.
All of these things, miscarriages,
Yeah.
right? All of these we've seen due to this. And once it was removed, the people conceived and they had babies. You understand?
Yeah.
But before that, no. I do have, and maybe I should wait. I've got 4 more minutes. There was a case so bad, Pundit. The lady was spiritually pregnant. And you could see her. She's 6, 7 months. And it happened within 2 months. When she went to the doctor, I can't say the doctor's name, but he called me and said, get this woman out. When he did the sonogram, there was a black shadow, not a fetus, and it jumped up at him on the screen. And we had to go in and take that out. And once we took it out, her belly was flat. So this is what was the remnants of the being raped. Somehow the seed was deposited. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is when it gets very dangerous, right? And I want people to know you can get spirits through food. People can do things to your food
Okay.
to attract. One. And we're going to go more next week. But one, you just don't take sexual precaution like a condom just for disease. Do you know we've had them transfer a demon from one body into the other body through the fluids of semen into the other body?
Okay.
So this is what I'm trying to say. So when you use precaution, it isn't just for sexual diseases or pregnancy. It's also to keep the spiritual side where it is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Pundit, it's been a pleasure talking with you. You sure you don't have anything to add? Or a question like you're wondering?
Yeah, it keeps me wondering, like the naughty boy.
But don't you think most spiritual leaders should be trained in this area?
This is something I think that it should have happened. Although in my time, the seniors were there and they would attend to anything like that. But they left us at an early age. So my dad passed away at 54 and I was still below 20. And so too were the other brothers. And there are many others too who I know faced with the same situation, that the senior people could not be able to teach them much on this side, but on the spiritual side, because that was most important to do and to follow. And especially like when I used to go, I was from 9 years, and the people would just tell my father, "Pundit, send the boy now, we'll show him what to do." Because they knew that I knew
Right.
the appropriate mantras to do whatever is to be done once I have the guideline of what is to be added in or taken out. I'll do that. So that's how we started, and we kept on going in that way. But our seniors were there all the time, and all of a sudden they just evacuated from the
Right.
from the scene because time took them, and we had to end up searching to see whatever we could find to help the situation as much as we could. But this is like a new avenue for me, because I don't know too much about this. I read plenty about it, but because my guru and some other people has written, there's a book written by Pandit Bhattacharya, and he has written about the tantric world, the world of tantras. There are many books which he has written, and in which I saw many things which I never knew about before. And then I have two brothers who studied in India, and they too know about some of these tantras because they actually saw it. One of my brothers, he crossed a particular place and he went, and he started to feel like he's not getting his breath.
Correct.
And there was a guy who called him, and when he called him, he did some prayers or something, whatever it was that he did, and he started to pull, like he's pulling out something. And then he just take it like a ball and he threw it.
He's pulling the energy.
And then
Yeah.
he tell him, "Go back now." He said, "No, I'm not going back there." He said, "No, go back. Nothing will happen to you again."
Right.
So,
Because he pulled the energy.
yes.
See, this is where the energy classes that we do
Yes.
comes in. Spiritual leaders should be here. If they don't, and I think I'm going to be forced, Pundit, that when their devotees come to me, I'm going to let them know, let's have their Pundit do it.
Yeah.
I will watch. Me and you will watch. And if they can't do it and you're there watching, you got a lot of explanation to do, right? Because some of these are going to be very serious,
Yeah.
and they're strong. And if you don't know what you're doing, and you better not be doing no puja, because you're going to be feeding it, getting it stronger,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But anyhow, everybody, we are out of time. I want to say Sitaram, have a great evening. Pundit, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for asking me
And
to do
please wait in 2 weeks for that next program, because I'm going to do a live video showing what it looks like when you find a big demon inside of a person. What does this body do? What does the body, how does the demon try to move inside the body? You're going to see all of it live right on this show. So everybody, have a great night.
Sitaram.